how to secure your WordPress site from hackers. In this video session, I'm going to share with you best practices and settings that you should double check to make sure that your WordPress site is better protected from hackers. I'll also share some sample codes that you can find on Rank Your Blog, okay? So let's log into our WordPress dashboard. Under Settings, press on General, Settings. Look for this membership. Anyone can register. That should be unchecked if you operate your own WordPress site. That means if you're the only person logging into your WordPress site, then other people should not be able to register. But if you do operate a membership site, surely you have to have that checked, okay? But let's say most small business owners, they operate their own business website, right? So then other people shouldn't be able to register because hackers know the default URLs for WordPress and they try to find registration page to run some scripts. So simply have that unchecked and save changes. Then under users menu option, what you can do is ensure that username is not admin or administrator. If yours is, then you can add new user, provide a different name, and make sure the password is very strong. If you can remember your own password, then that means it's not strong. So you can always add special characters and make sure the passwords are strong. Okay, so let's go and see what else we can do. Also, let's say you don't want to add new user. You can actually change your own password. And perhaps you should do this on regular basis, making sure that your passwords are strong, okay? That's very important. So, let's go and see what else we can do. There are many security plugins you can use that are free. Because you're using WordPress, there are countless plugins. I tend to use WordFence, which is a free plugin. Now, there is a lot of settings here. Most default settings are great, but I'll show you some additional tips while here. Once you install this plugin and set it up, which is a straightforward process, then what you want is you want to make sure the firewall settings are really strong. Okay, let's take a look. Rate limiting. Because hackers send out, requests to a website, what you want is you want to make sure that Google crawlers, which are efficient crawlers, and most small business owners rely on Google website traffic. So we don't want to block Google's user agent. User agent is a bot that Google uses. But if anyone else requests the web pages on your site, let's say, 240 per minute, that's still a lot, right? But if someone comes to your website using some automated script, that means they're going to request a lot of URLs from your site. So then what you want is you want to make sure that you have these settings set. Let's say 60 per minute. That's very strict, but still you may get away with it, depending on the type of website you have. Let's say your website is well established and there is a lot of people coming and they know how to use it, then perhaps 240 per minute, you can throttle it. as in, pause that request. You can even block it. So these settings are great using WordFence, and you want to make sure that you tweak these. How long an IP address is blocked when they break the rule? You can say, okay, for an hour, for let's say 1 day. Probably 1 day is actually good enough. So mine is very strict because I know how people interact with my website. Also, we have with WordFence, remember, most default settings are good enough. Anytime you want to restore defaults, you can simply press on restore defaults, okay? So let's look at all options. If you're using WordFence, there is one here that is called brute force protection. Because people trying to log in using the WordPress login URL, you may say, you know what, I want to enable brute force protection. Because you're the only person logging into your own WordPress site, then if someone tries to log in using some username and password, let's say 2 times, then you can block that, as in the third attempt will not be processed. So these 2 settings in WordFence, they definitely help you to better secure your WordPress site. Because you're using this plugin, all the default settings will automatically help secure your WordPress site from hackers. Surely you don't need to use WordFence. There is other plugins. They basically do similar things, as in protecting your WordPress site. Then there is actually many plugins. One I tend to use is htaccess. It is rather affordable. That will block spams. Also, under settings, let's press on discussions. Here, what you want is comment must be manually approved. Because WordPress is popular, hackers, they're trying to find loopholes through commenting system. So then if you say, okay, you know what, I maintain my own WordPress site. If that is the case, you should manually approve the comments by making sure the comments must be manually approved. Okay, so that setting is important. Okay, so what else can I share with you? Let's go and see. If you have installed your own WordPress site, then the databases that you have, because WordPress resides within a database as well, the username that you have and the password for it, it should be very complex instead of the default password most cPanel installations create for you. You can anytime change the password for your WordPress database. If you were to do that, then you need to edit a file as an update. It's usually within public_HTML. There's a file called wp-config.php. So if you update the database username password, you need to update this file, or else you can't log into your WordPress site. So I'll show you a sample file. Let's actually look at the sample one instead. Here, you need to update that password here if you change it. Because hackers can actually log into WordPress through the backend, as in through the database. Now, what else can I share with you? Okay. Let's come out of that. If you're using cPanel, under settings, show hidden files. You have a file for all WordPress installations called htaccess. You can always edit that file. Okay, that's a sample site. I'll show you my local copy to show you what I mean. I'm going to make this code available. This is a very complex security code. It also blocks common. Actually, I'll remove the Google AI business here. This mod rewrite for WordPress installed on Apache servers, it has very strong security features within it, as in common ways the hackers trying to find loopholes on a WordPress. And this .htaccess directive for mod rewrite checks for that. Now, before you grab this file from Rank Your Blog, make sure you do this. Download what you have before you make any edits. Because if something goes wrong, you can upload your backup. Then press on Edit that file and simply paste that code there that you can grab from Rank Your Blog. And then save changes. And before you say, okay, I've added that code, make sure you check your WordPress site to ensure that code didn't break your WordPress site. If it did, then you can always edit that file and just remove that directive, because that's a very complex security directive, okay? So I'll actually save changes just to show you. So if your site breaks after you insert that code, then simply delete the code, okay? So I'll save changes because I know the site is working after I've edited that. So let's go and see what else we can do. Because WordPress resides within PHPMyAdmin, usually that's the case, you don't have to log into your database and make tweaks and so on. But your database can be better secured as well. Okay. Here you have privileged users, as in the user for your WordPress site. When you install WordPress, usually all these are checked. But for normal operations, all privileges doesn't need to be enabled for a particular user of your database. Okay, so what you can do, I'll make this available on Rank Your Blog as well. At minimum, you need select, insert, update, delete, create, alter. Now, as in, people can't delete your database, for example, drop. So you can actually remove some privileges from a user of your WordPress site. But anytime you make these tweaks, you obviously want to double check your WordPress site to make sure that everything is working correctly. Because some plugins or even themes may require different privileges, okay? So let's come out of that. Let's come out of that because I want to show you other insights here. Your WordPress installation, WP-content folder, you have uploads folder here. What you can do is you can create a file, call it .htaccess, as in create a new file here within uploads folder, and right click and edit. What do you insert here? I'll make this available on Rank Your Blog as well. You can insert this code and paste it in there and save changes. What does this code do? This code ensures that hackers looking at uploads folder, in where your media files in WordPress resides in, they can't execute PHP scripts or hacking scripts. Okay. Yeah. All these are, additional layers of security for WordPress. Then, within Tools, you can press on Export and simply download a backup of your content on your website. Then, through your cPanel, your phpMyAdmin, you can press on the database that you're using and then press on Export. Select Custom and press Export. Now you've just downloaded a backup of your WordPress database as well. Okay, so what else can I show you? Public_HTML, you can right click on WP-content folder and create a zip archive and compress it and then download a backup. So you can do that manually. This will download the plugins, your theme, your uploads, as in your images and so on, okay? Yeah. If you're using web hosting and you have self-installed WordPress, oftentimes the Installatron applications will allow you to create automatic backups of your entire WordPress installation. If you have access to that, then you want to make sure you utilize it because it's free. Now, if you do not have the self-installation, then there are many different plugins, such as Updraft is one of them, that will help you to create, backups on regular basis. These are free plugins that help you to maintain your WordPress site much better. So instead of doing things manually and downloading it to your local computer, or even create a folder that's above public_HTML, let's say backups, provide a date perhaps even, and then your backups can be placed within that folder. So you should do this on regular basis as well. Because if somehow someone hacks your WordPress site, then at least you have a backup so you can upload it back to your server, okay? That includes the database, that includes the content from your dashboard and all your pages. If you're using WooCommerce, then WooCommerce also allows you, I can't show you that example here, it allows you to do backup of your products as well, okay? So, I know I've shared a lot of different tips with you, but WordPress is a very popular content management system, and hackers know that. So therefore, they rely on WordPress sites that usually are not secured enough, and certain URLs are left open for them to log in. That's why when you adhere to these security insights for WordPress, you will at least have a better secured WordPress site. But you can't rest on your laurels either, because security is something that you need to be conscious of and do what you can as best that you can, so that you don't wake up one day and your website is gone and all your effort is gone because some hacker has found a loophole. But if you adhere to these insights that I use for myself and also for my valued clients, then I promise you your WordPress site will be better secured. I thank you for learning with Rankia. And if you've got any questions or comments, simply comment on this video. And to get your hands on the sample codes, simply visit Rankia blog or even search the search functionality. I'm wishing your WordPress site greatest possible success. Do realize that Rankia YouTube channel is one of the best on YouTube when it comes to WordPress optimization. And I'll talk with you in the next video session.